Uh, what are flipped classrooms? These are the classrooms that we have in our, actually in our own ways, taking its philosophy from constructivist approach. Blended learning incorporates digital instructional materials into the conventional course applications. And as an offspring of blended learning, flipped classroom applications facilitate self-regulated, individualized, autonomous, personalized, and self-directed learning. These concepts could be similar to each other with nuances, but they are in our lives, in our students' lives, and they use it nowadays as the 21st century students. They are now in a different context of learning. So we can say that flipped classrooms are ideal context for them to learn something. And today's students or learners of any kind can do their research through these flipped classrooms. So we come to a question, which road to take? Shall we go through the traditional ways, or shall we move on with the digital or contemporary ways? Here we have actually a junction in front of us, and we don't know where to go. So I think the answer lies in Bloom's taxonomy, because it is, as you know, the revised version is related to the thinking skills of human beings. So the first four skills, I mean, creating, evaluating, analyzing, and applying, are called the higher order thinking skills. And remembering and understanding, when we start from the bottom, understanding and remembering the lower order thinking skills, as applying, analyzing, evaluating, and at the very top, creating, are the higher order thinking skills. So traditional learning is supposed to be on the basement, while the digital and contemporary learning comes to the top. For this to happen, the students need to improve themselves, and until they reach to the point of creation, I think they need some digital and contemporary ways to realize themselves and their learnings. So what is the significance of this study? There are countless applications of flipped, reverse, or inverted classrooms. However, most of these applications focus on teaching through new systems of flipped classrooms, or the other terminology. However, they do not invest on the teachers. So the aim of this study is to introduce an application of a model for a flipped classroom at initial teacher education programs, specifically teaching young learners course. And the other aim is, of course, to enhance theoretical knowledge through student interaction as stimulated activity in a synergetic and collaborative learning atmosphere. So let me talk about the procedure. The classroom I designed is comprised of three parts, actually. The first one is before the semester started, I uploaded a schedule and the learning management system to let my students learn about what would happen in the class, because it was something new. And in the schedule, it was announced that there would be 5 workshops, each of which lasted for 3 weeks. And each week, teacher candidates were supposed to prepare for the next coming workshop on their own in the first place. And in terms of the procedure, there were some steps followed. In the first place, I asked my students, I mean teacher candidates, to perform some tasks. And they were supposed to be carried out digitally. And they were supposed to collect data and information from different books, articles, visual materials, applications, and so on, maybe videos, podcasts, YouTube, broadcasts, or whatever, so that they would be informed about that week's topic. For instance, the first workshop topic was language teaching methodology, techniques, approaches, methods, everything. So they were supposed to do some search on their own. Of course, I provided them some materials to do some search, but I didn't limit them. I just asked them to stick to the topic and to do their research. And then the second part included the discussions and workshops based on these assignments. I mean, the next course included the discussions and workshops which the students collected data for. And after the course was over, that week's time was finished, they were supposed to upload the file of their products onto the system, what they did as research, what they did in the workshop during the workshop time, etc. And then the next week, I mean the following week, we presented and evaluated the products in the class within my own means. My students, teacher candidates, presented them and evaluated them. So the philosophy behind this is, before the face-to-face learning started, actually, the students came to class, I mean the teacher candidates here, with the course content. I mean, they learned a lot, and then they have harmonized in the form of personalized learning. In this way, the flexible time, place, pace, and the opportunity of repetitive learning facilitate the personal experience of the involvement in the learning objectives before they are integrated into the classroom, thus enhancing the skills of problem-based learning as suggested by Dutch et al. So when the whole cycle finished, I mean, the workshops were over, the 5 workshops, and all the classroom work and the individual research was over, at the end of the semester, I did a kind of research, conducted it, and I asked the participants here, in my case, the teacher candidates, to expand their views on the procedure. Here, I use the qualitative data analysis for the findings, and I found out some themes. And these findings suggested that the course turned out to produce fruitful results. So the first thing I asked them as a question was how they felt of doing research individually, what kind of experience they felt while they were doing research on their own. Here, the answers were really surprising because I hadn't expected that it would work so effectively, but the participants stated that thanks to these opportunities I provided to them, they were able to gain multiple perspectives. And sometimes they were aligned with their findings, sometimes they were diverted. Thanks to this research, they were able to see whether they had the right, true knowledge or not. And of course, they stated they had self-confidence. In this way, they gained self-confidence and they were now able to do individual research a lot better than before. And the idea of assignment actually brought about the self-discipline. So since I asked them to upload all their work weekly in a periodical way, they were supposed to finish, and then they were supposed to move on to the next week. So it was a kind of, I think, idea of fulfillment as well. And they stated that it was a kind of in-depth exploration of both themselves and what they did. And it was found out that the experience of doing research individually also brought about the engagement in some work. So they were able to focus on what they were supposed to do, and the findings were further supported, augmented by the mentor as well, which made them feel better. And they stated that they had gained critical thinking abilities, skills in this way. They were able to compare their findings with what they already know, and this led them have the sense of, criticizing themselves, and it increased their critical thinking skills. And as they stated, they gained a sense of autonomy and self-direction, because today's learners do not like being directed at all times. They want to have some freedom for learning. So if you give them the sense of autonomy or the autonomous learning style, then they can create things a lot better than you could expect. So it was their self-direction. And some stated that it was a rewarding experience because what they wanted to do was actually a guide. Actually, what they wanted was a guide. More than that, they could do it on their own. They could manage. And it was a substantial contribution to their learning because they already knew the content of the theory, but through this research, they were able to contribute to their own learning. And freedom to direct their own learning process was also a good way of learning for them. And some stated that it was a remarkably fulfilling experience. A remarkably fulfilling experience because they were able to fulfill themselves, their learning, and it made them feel good and more satisfied of their own learning system. In terms of the experience of writing the procedure, I asked them how they felt while writing classroom procedures on the basis of the topics I provided for them. Let's say the methodology, language teaching methodology. They were asked to write a classroom procedure, for example, for Suggestopedia, the techniques, how the whole system can work, or what kind of materials they were supposed to prepare, teachers' roles, students' roles, and so on. So they find this experience a little bit challenging because, we are always the ones who consume ideas. So producing ideas and producing, of course, writing the procedure is not that easy. Something new, it was a little bit challenging. However, they found it comprehensive and, of course, satisfactory because they said they learned a lot from this experience. And they found it valuable because through this experience, they were able to practice, and from theory to practice made them feel valuable because they were able to produce things. And they were greatly impressed by this period. They found this study as an excellent application, and they said it was productive to be able to use such chances, opportunities of learning. And my other question was how they experienced, how they felt about doing the workshops, because after each workshop, they uploaded the information, and the next week they presented and they received evaluation from the mentor and the peer, and sometimes they made self-evaluation. Here, the first thing that came out was the sense of collaboration. They said they felt very good because they were able to collaborate, and they felt that they were a part of a community. A feeling of community was the second one that emerged. And they stated that they had a shared learning experience, which was valuable for them. And of course, it was good to have interaction because in the workshop area, they made groups of 3 or 4. They interacted with each other. They changed and exchanged ideas and findings, of course. In this sense, they were able to find new perspectives. And the other thing was that it was a kind of creative activity. It was stimulated creativity that came one of the emergent topics. And hands-on experience, of course, these learners had this experience from the first hand. And one of the participants stated something as scaffolding. Actually, in the world of education, scaffold is used for second language education. But I found it interesting because the participants stated that I gave them a kind of scaffold. And in scaffolding, actually, you don't let the learner learn everything from you, but you just let the learner go through towards the target. So the scaffolding that I gave to my actually students as teacher candidates, let them learn on their own because I didn't teach them. It was not a one-way kind of learning. It was a diverse, multifaceted learning. So when I asked them how they felt about doing the workshop, 2 statements from my students came out. One of them was, in the workshop, we shared our knowledge and experiences in a dynamic and cooperative setting, armed with our own studies and approaches, methods, and techniques. And it was an experience that changed us from being passive students to being active teachers, and it will surely help us in the future. So many other comments as well, because 99%, I can say, of the participants of that course said very positive things of this flipped classroom approach. And the next question was related with their micro-teaching experiences. The participants said, in the first place, it was nerve-wracking because, it's not that easy to speak before the audience, particularly if they are your peers or your mentor and so on. It's not that easy. However, it was enhancing. And the instant feedback provision was really effective for them because they were able to receive feedback both from the mentor and from the peers. And before starting with a profession, they were able to see themselves and their friends reflected a mirror on them. So it was, of course, a confidence boosting experience. And as they stated before, they had gained new perspectives to language teaching. One stated it was an amazing real life experience. And it was an opportunity for self-evaluation because through those mirroring experiences, you can see what you did in in the classroom before you start your profession. And some stated it was a perfect and challenging experience. I don't want to make a close-up conclusion, but I'd like to share a comment of one of the participants because I think it's going to round up the whole issue. Teaching English to young learners course has been an invaluable experience. The various components of this course equipped me with vital knowledge necessary to be an effective language teacher for young learners. These experiences fostered a deeper understanding of the unique needs and learning styles of children. I'm confident that this course will serve as a strong foundation for my future teaching endeavors. Special thanks to my Teaching English to Young Learners course students And thank you for listening. This is the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for your presentation on such a timely topic. The flipped classroom, I think we can agree, really came into its own during COVID as a means of allowing teachers and students to better manage their own time more efficiently. I really found your account